Most people think if something happens, a car accident, an injury, whatever it is, you just go to the doctor, maybe call a lawyer, and it kind of handles itself. But what they don't realize is how much is actually happening behind the scenes. How your body is responding, how things are being documented, how decisions are being made, and how all of that can either support you or quietly work against you. I'm Summer, Doctor of Physical Therapy and Integrative Wellness Consultant. And today we're getting into all of it. Not just the legal side, but how it actually overlaps with recovery, with treatment, and what people should understand before they ever find themselves in that situation. Today I'm here with Chauncey Dean, personal injury attorney, and I want to start here because I think this sets the tone. What's a decision someone can make early on that doesn't seem like a big deal, but ends up costing them later?
I think a decision they can make early on that may cost their case is not seeking medical attention right away. So taking their time to seek medical attention, defense or adjusters, they look at that and say, oh, you weren't in pain because you didn't go to the hospital or go see a medical provider right away. So I think no matter what, after the crash, go see a medical doctor just so you can get evaluated.
Yeah, that's a good point, probably. And even if you think you might be feeling generally okay in the moment, because from a physical therapy side, the effects can come on later.
That is true.
Right?
That is true,
and
yeah.
sometimes people are in a little bit of shock in the moment, too.
Yeah,
right?
that too.
Yeah. So when you first look at a case, what are you immediately assessing or paying attention to?
When I first get a case, I want to talk to the client, figure out how the crash happened, what was the cause of the crash, who was also in the car of the crash. So those are the first things I'm evaluating. Then afterwards, they tell me their injuries. So I want to know, what are they feeling? Are they feeling neck, back pain, shoulder pain, leg pain, stuff like that? So I want to know what their injuries are. Then I want their insurance information to see what their policy provides. So, and also, try to get the police report so I can get the defendant driver's policy information as well. So those are my initial assessments when it comes to a case.
Okay, that's interesting. There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a full spectrum approach.
Yeah.
Okay, and so let's back up a little and understand how you developed that lens. You started initially as a public defender. So how did that shape the way that you look at people or situations now?
Being in the public defender's office, you're thrown on the front lines, you're helping people in need. So just being in that environment and working with everyday people helps me as a personal injury attorney today, because similar work, I'm helping people in a crisis. They come to you and you help solve their problems and guide them through the legal process. So that's how my public defender experience benefits me today.
Yeah, I mean, that really does carry through. People truly are coming to you in a state where, maybe their whole day or the next whoever knows how long is interrupted, they truly are in a state of crisis.
Yeah.
So what's something you learned on the defense side that most people on the plaintiff side never really see?
I think on the plaintiff side, people don't see how the defense evaluates a case. You have adjusters, they're not as interested in the human side of the case. They're just looking at numbers, they're looking at medical records, or just anything that's not involving what the person actually went through, how it's affecting them daily. They don't get to hear that information. They just see numbers on a spreadsheet. So I see how they evaluate it. And that taught me as a personal injury attorney. It's all right, this is how we're going to attack the case, and this is how we're going to build it to get you the best results possible, because we want to advocate to these adjusters or defense attorneys how much you're in pain, how this crash has affected your life, and how you're still dealing with it today.
Yeah, I really like that. And honestly, that sounds very similar to what I've had to do for a lot of clients in the past in terms of just contacting their insurance providers, even to advocate for them and be like, even though it says they're 5 out of 10 pain, it means that they can't do this, this, and this, and this in their life.
Yeah.
So there's more relatability to it, but it is kind of a bit of a debate and, sometimes, but it's a good thing that there are people out there like you sticking up for people, you know?
No, for sure,
or just keeping an eye out, rather.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because 5 out of 10, every person has a different 5 out of 10. So you got to list how that 5 out of 10 is affecting all the activities that they go throughout the day, and what's limiting or hindering them from performing those activities. So
100%. And I mean, so many people come to me and most of them say either I have a really high pain tolerance, so then they self-report pretty low.
Yeah.
Or sometimes people are on the opposite end of the spectrum where, they're more hypersensitive. So it's the number is quite variable in and of itself,
for sure, for sure.
without more context at least.
Yeah.
Was there a moment or a type of case that shifted how you approach your work today?
Yes. I had a really big case last year, an almost $2 million settlement for my client. That case really like showed me that I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm great at what I do.
Toot it.
All right, but getting a great result for that client, it felt amazing. But also that, dealing with a case from inception up to the settlement and just being there for that client, and answering all the questions, dealing with their anxieties involved in that crash, and in their treatment as well. And just like being their advocate through all facets of the case. It just gave me more confidence and made me like enjoy the work more. It's like, all right, I got a great result. I'm good at what I do, and I want to help others as well get a great result like that client did. So
yeah, that's amazing. What kind of clients and cases tend to stick with you after they end?
I'll say cases like the one I was just talked about, just getting an amazing result and just seeing how that sets them up for the rest of their lives. It's just like, hey, I was in this crash. I didn't know who to turn to, but you delivered for me, and you gave me a great result, and I know that's going to stay with them for the rest of their lives, and it does, impact my life as well, because you want to do good work for your clients.
Of course. Yeah. And for some of these cases, so obviously that was a larger settlement case. So do certain cases just take a longer period of time to work on in terms of, gaining more information?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the case, the policies involved, the injuries involved. Some do take longer than others, and I think that's a misconception for a lot of people when they get in a car crash. They'd be like, oh, my friend was involved and they got a settlement check within a month. But they're dealing with a whole different circumstance opposed to what you're going through. So just like understanding that and just managing client expectations, let them know that not all cases are the same.
Yes. Well, and not everybody recovers exactly on the same timeline either. So that one variable alone can throw people way off, right?
Definitely.
So I feel like sometimes when people think of attorneys, they only think of one type of stereotype of attorneys, right? But I've had the pleasure of working with many attorneys over the years as my clients. Yeah. And you guys are people just like everybody else and outside of what you do. So what do you like to do outside of work, right?
Outside of work, when I'm not working, I'm always working. But but when like me trying to get away from work is exercising. I love to be in the gym, running. That's an essential part of my week, and that's how I get to reset and just relax. So that's one of my focal points when I'm not working. But also in the sauna. I love the sauna.
I love that.
Yeah.
What kind?
The hot steam sauna. So yeah.
Oh, you got to try infrared then.
Oh, yeah? Is it good?
Infrared is good. I used to have one in my studio in Chicago.
Okay.
But basically, there are different wavelengths, and so there's near, middle, or far.
Okay.
And basically, externally on your skin, it doesn't feel as hot.
Yeah.
So it feels a little bit more tolerable to stay in there longer, but what it's doing is it's heating up your core temperature from the inside, almost inducing a fever-like state. So it stimulates your immune system, your blood flow, it has anti-aging effects, your cardiovascular health, your detox pathways.
Okay.
And there's actually research done where they analyzed sweat. They did sweat analysis from different forms of exercise, saunas, et cetera.
Okay.
And infrared saunas did have a higher number of detox factors that were released in your sweat than most other things.
Okay. Wow.
So again, it's
I have to try that,
something you might be able to go into. Sometimes you can stay in there for 40 minutes plus.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I'm going to have to advocate to my building for that.
But a lot of them have a little tablet in there, so you can like put on a show or put on some meditation music, ideally.
Okay.
Bring a book.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not as like damp in there,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Or dry, rather.
No, for sure.
If it's a regular sauna, but you said steam sauna.
Yeah. So now I got to tell my building where we need an infrared sauna.
Yeah. So. Try it out. Try it out. So besides running, what's something else that helps you kind of reset when things get heavier? Because again, people are coming to you in their moments of crises.
I think, just hanging with friends, just unplugging, just finding a way to just get away from work for a short period of time. So just that, being amongst friends, going to social events, hanging out with non-lawyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if I hang out with a lawyer, they're just going to talk about work all the time.
Yeah,
So
no.
hang out with non-lawyers, that helps with my mental state of mind. So like things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one wants to talk shop all the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, lawyers always talking shop. So
Then outside of work, are you someone who tends to like structure, or do you like a little bit more freedom and adaptability?
Freedom, adaptability, creativity, just like curating your weekends as they go.
Amazing.
So if someone say, hey, let's go to this event, or hey, let's go to this place, or try out this new restaurant, it's like, all right, I love that. And just allowing my time to just be like free.
Yeah.
And do like those type of things.
Free, so you can live in the moment.
Yes,
and take whatever opportunity sounds actually interesting to you at the moment, right?
Yeah, because as a lawyer, you're always in your head, and you're always like, ruminating over your cases and just calculating like how to get the best result for your clients. So yeah, just being free. So that's what I like doing.
Well, and especially your side of law, it's, again, you came from the public defender side. You really care about people. And you want to help them get the best outcomes. And similarly from the medical side, it's, we get into these industries because we care.
Yeah, exactly.
So you really do need to take a beat for yourself sometimes and just kind of wipe the slate clean.
Yeah, I think you cannot be a personal injury attorney if you're not a people person.
Yeah.
Yeah, you deal with a lot of people. So if you're shy and don't want to be amongst people, do something else, not this. So
100%.
Yeah.
Well, now let's talk a little bit about what makes or breaks a case. Okay. So, because I think people sometimes assume that it can be pretty straightforward, right? Like you said, sometimes people think, my friend had this outcome.
Yeah.
Why is mine not that simple, right?
Yeah.
So if you had to break it down, what actually makes a case strong from your perspective?
What makes a case strong is consistent medical treatment. So consistently seeing a doctor, tending to your injuries, getting treatment for those injuries. Liability, the crash wasn't your fault, so that makes a case strong. Also, just great property damage as well that shows, and we could show the adjuster or the defense attorney, or even at trial, show the jury that this crash caused these injuries, so they could be able to visualize that. So those are the type of things that make a case strong.
Okay, so really more evidence.
Yeah.
I watch my Law and Order.
Yeah, the more evidence, the better. So
yes.
Yeah.
And then I know you mentioned timing really matters in terms of, seeking out a doctor or at least a medical consult at first. But how much does timing matter otherwise for other factors of the case, like the property damage and that type of stuff?
Not so much for property damage. I mean, you want to get the property damage, right away, and you don't want the defense to argue like, oh, you took it a week later, so was that damage really from the car crash or something else? So but I think what really matters is medical attention, going to see a doctor right away, and getting that timeline of events of you going to see the doctor. So that's to me,
That's really helpful to know though, because again, it's in my mind I would think, okay, your health is first, right? If you don't have your health, then what can you do, right? So I would assume, let's say your car's damaged or something, I would put that off to the last because obviously your day is disrupted, right?
No, exactly.
So you're going to deal with the main priorities. So that's really good to know because any amount of time, it just adds in more speculation potentially.
No,
like
exactly.
what else could have happened?
And you want to fight any type of speculation that may be thrown onto you, like, oh, you didn't take a picture till a month later, stuff like that. So just trying to get everything done as quickly as possible, like photos and going and see a doctor, stuff like that. So
okay, cool. And then what are people doing in their day-to-day behavior that ends up working against them without realizing it while the case is in progress? Is there anything that kind of makes things a little bit more challenging for them?
Yeah. I would say, I mean, when it comes to treating for the injuries, every day stuff does get in the way. Work, children, family, things like that that may cause them from treating consistently to now they're treating inconsistently because they have to deal with all these personal stuff going through their life. So that's one thing. Social media, you don't want to, you don't want to be like, oh, I was in a major crash complaining of neck and back pain and you're dancing or,
skiing,
skiing,
whatever.
Coachella, anything like that. So being wary of that, like, all right, I don't want to post that type of stuff online because that could be used against me.
Yeah.
So things like that.
Even if they are truly struggling through it too.
That is true.
You know?
That is true.
So it's,
But
just be careful.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's just, it's one more thing you're going to have to like argue against. Like, yeah, I was at Coachella, but my neck and back was really hurting. And it's just another burden on your case.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's true though, and it happens all the time. I mean, it happens to me from the physical therapy side too, where people are physically semi-broken one week, and then they have their weekend.
No, exactly.
They come back, and I mean, I had a guy who had a shoulder repair, a rotator cuff repair, and then over the weekend he went home and he decided to carry a case of beer tour.
Yeah.
I was like, what were you thinking?
No, exactly.
He was like, I know, and he
yeah.
felt it snap immediately, but it's just not, we just have to be careful.
No, definitely. Yeah.
You don't want to put yourself through something twice.
No. Yeah. So just being cognizant of that, definitely.
So then what kind of documentation or proof actually carries the most weight? From who? Is it just the provider, or is there any documentation that ever comes from the client end?
Well, that's a great question. So I say medical records, that's paramount. So that's probably number one. But documentation from the client, I mean, let's say they're missing work due to their injuries. So like, hey, they have evidence of them missing work due to their injuries that can really support their case. Obviously, property damage, like I said earlier, that can definitely support their case as well. So I would just say, things like that. And just being able to articulate when there is a deposition how the crash has impacted their lives. So having that documentation set up, so they could be able to tell the defense attorney, like, hey, this is how this crash has changed my life and the injuries I'm going through, and how that impacts my daily activities. So
So it really is about the relatability and kind of the carryover piece of it, right?
Yeah.
And then what patterns do you notice in cases that start off strong but then sometimes end up losing momentum?
What I would see is someone in an accident, they're injured and they're treating consistently and probably for 2-3 months. Then after that, it starts to taper off because, again, real life comes into play, school, children, parents, all of that. So now they're treating more like inconsistently. So that will start them to lose the momentum of their case. So it kind of weakens their case by them not treating consistently, because now the argument is like, oh, you're no longer in pain. So that can affect the potential settlement.
Is there like a recommended guideline of how, like what consistent means for people, or is it?
Okay, I would say at least once a week.
Okay.
Yeah, and if not once a week, once every 2 weeks. But like, no, months shouldn't go by without you seeing a medical provider.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what about, sometimes people go to multiple different providers, right? So how does that work? And I guess, is there any cross communication between providers ever?
I would say, they're sending the records to each other. So, I feel like each provider should be aware of like where this person is treating, and especially if it's a chiropractor and they went to a radiologist and then now they have the MRI reports. Like, I feel like that chiropractor should see the MRI reports and make sure it aligns with the treatment they're providing to the client. Similar to the orthopedic doctor as well. So making sure everyone has documentation from everyone involved in the crash so they can best treat the client, and making sure the treatment's consistent with what they're purporting their injuries are.
That's interesting. And I wonder, because there's so many of these things that people need for recovery purposes, especially these days, are, we'll say, sometimes in Western medicine considered alternative therapies, if you will. So even though I know that they do have a true benefit, and sometimes these practices have been around longer than Western medicine has even been established.
That is true.
Right?
But
So I guess, does that tend to help, or is it more of a neutral factor in somebody's case?
I'll say it's more neutral. I know, people like to seek alternative ways of dealing with their pain, but like with these adjusters and defense attorneys, they really scrutinize that stuff, because to them it's like, oh, you're not that much in pain if you're not doing it the conventional way. of like seeing an orthopedic doctor or a chiropractor or a radiologist and stuff like that. So
how does like acupuncture do?
It's a factor, and like an adjuster could look at that and say, "Oh, you're getting acupuncture treatment. That's great." But I mean, they put more stock in the traditional way of
the objective.
Yeah. So, and again, and someone can get a great result from acupuncture.
Yeah.
You know, but to them, they're just looking for anything to minimize your case. So like
acupuncture's been my last resort, only saving treatment sometimes in my past.
No,
that's why
you.
I ask, because it can be really beneficial for people. And I've had so many clients, even some chronic pain clients that, have said acupuncture's really helped them.
Yeah, but they're not going to look at it that way.
I know.
Yeah. Like their job is to poke holes in whatever you're saying in order to minimize whatever settlement or whatever money they're going to offer you to resolve your case. So they'll look at that and like, oh, that's junk science or something like that, which is not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of credible evidence that does lead to great results for people, but in their eyes, they're not looking at it that way.
And that actually makes me think of, I mentioned to you before, I had mold toxicity at one point from an apartment building, which was lovely. But I feel like, and mine unfortunately did turn into a case, but how do things like supplements, like natural supplementation through a functional medicine route, through an actual medical doctor, how do things like that get viewed in the medical or in the legal lens? Because it is a medical provider,
that
right?
Is true.
But again,
that is true.
Supplementation can still be more natural factors.
No, that's true. That's true. I think that does help, and as long as there's documentation there and the doctor is willing to, if called upon, he can speak on the medicine he's prescribing and the treatment's been given to the client, that could be beneficial.
And I imagine, again, functional medicine doctors, they do a lot of labs first before they start. So again, they're assessing your labs and monitoring how the levels change and stuff too. So that would probably just be further medical documentation.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay, cool.
Medical documentation wins. So as long as it's documented and a medical doctor is testifying on behalf of it, it works.
Yes, document. Even for providers, document for your clients. Advocate for your clients, please.
Definitely.
Yes. So when you're building a case, what tends to require the most clarification or backtracking?
I think when I'm building a case, first I want to tell the client, and just to get their expectations and let them know, this can take weeks, months, or even years. Obviously the most extreme cases are years, but it could take a while before you get a result. I also want to communicate to them that not all cases are the same. A lot of this is about who hits you and what insurance coverage is provided. So just clarifying that to them, stressing to them that, hey, I know you've never been in this situation before. This is brand new, but a lot of the stuff you're going to be doing from now until the case resolves is going to be scrutinized. So not going to the doctor, posting on social media, doing things that kind of betrays that you're injured. Those type of things are going to be looked at very closely. So just let them know what to expect coming into this whole legal process.
How does something like travel get viewed? Because people have to travel for work a lot of the times. But also you can travel and it's not like you're doing an intense activity or workout. But again,
I think the longer the travel, the more it's scrutinized. So it's if you travel to Bali and it's it's an 18-hour flight. So it's all right, you're willing to sit uncomfortably for 18 hours. So they may look at it like that. So, but what I tell my clients a lot when they're being questioned about that, it's hey, yes, I was on that 18-hour flight, but I had to get up a lot. I had to stretch. I had to take medication before I got on the plane. So there's ways to argue I did travel, but I'm still in pain.
He still paid for it after.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? They probably flew first class. He can lay out and sleep. So that's another factor too. So, but it's just one of those things that is just another argument for the case. You travel a lot, or you do a lot of sports, or you're always doing certain activities. So it's just another thing that you're gonna have to combat in the case.
And I imagine the length of their travel matters, the flight matters more than the length of the trip itself.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because it's like, oh, you could be uncomfortable for 18 hours on a plane, you know?
It's more like a static or prolonged position type thing and what you can tolerate.
Yeah. But they also ask questions like, oh, you went to Italy and you did all this sightseeing and traveling.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're asking those type of questions too.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, how much are you in pain if you're at the Coliseum, you know? So
Well, and again, it's, you know, even a museum, those take a long time to walk through,
no,
right?
exactly.
And people post pictures of their trips on socials and stuff, or their family members do, even if they don't, right?
Yeah. So just be ready to explain that and like how you had to pay for it later on, or hey, I took a lot of Tylenol and Advil that day, or I had to take my time. I was actually slowing down my family on that trip. So just being able to articulate that, I think helps. So
yes, that's very smart. And I mean, for myself, just because I think I'm just way more tuned into my body than most. I mean, I feel pretty horrible sometimes after flights. So I make it almost an imperative thing that after I have a long flight, I'll try to book something, right? Just to get like a once over, kind of repiece yourself back together in a semi-neutral way. Right? So I recommend people, you know, if you're traveling, you don't have to discontinue your care.
No, definitely not.
Essentially.
Yeah. And if you could, I mean, even if you're traveling, especially in the States, you know, like go see a doctor, like wherever you are. I mean, a chiropractor or, you know, a massage therapist, anyone who can help, you know, with your symptoms. So, yeah.
Which actually leads me to ask, because again, I do a lot of virtual stuff. How does virtual PT get viewed, or virtual treatment get viewed? Telehealth.
I would say,
imagine it's tough.
Yeah.
you don't have to sugarcoat it.
It's just, it doesn't get looked at as favorably as you going in to see a doctor, like the traditional way of like seeking treatment. I think the urgency kind
of gets taken away. It's more of a convenience versus a necessity.
No, for sure.
Right? So. But which is kind of bizarre to me though, because in my mind, sometimes people, when they are in an urgent state, that's when it's harder for them to leave home.
That is true.
To get in the car, to go commute, to find parking, to get into the office. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
and I can understand. I mean, those are all the hurdles of going to see a doctor, like waiting in the waiting room for this doctor. So I do understand that. But I think when you go see a doctor, they're able to physically examine you.
Yes.
Versus them just seeing you like through a telehealth. So like it takes away that physicality of it. So yeah,
there's just a little bit more objectivity, a little bit more. Even like, I don't want to say tactile guidance, but there's a lot of information there.
Yeah. But I mean, telehealth is better than no telehealth or no treatment.
Well, and I imagine then home health would be obviously the ideal for people that are in an urgent state and can't leave home, right? It's just have a provider still come in person to you in your home.
Right? And I do work with providers like that, and that's a great benefit for clients. And you have someone come to you. And and they're still documenting them coming to your home and the treatment they provided, your pain levels. So that still does count as seeking medical treatment. A lot of people prefer that too. So.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what I do too.
Oh, okay.
You know?
So it's good.
Well, and it's honestly for me, especially, I'm working with people more in a preventative maintenance-based phase, but still injury-based. But it's people like, they're in a less tense state too.
That's
so
true.
It makes, especially if I'm doing soft tissue works, it makes me getting in a little bit easier, even with energy work. I don't have to clear all of the stress, you know, or the, am I too cold? Do I have to go to the bathroom?
No,
right?
definitely.
It's like people are just, they know what to expect from their environment. But also I enjoy going into people's homes, especially for physical therapy stuff, because I notice things that they don't notice.
That is true.
That they might have difficulty with, or that they might need to switch up to help their recovery.
No,
right?
definitely. And it's convenient for the client as well. And it's just a way of them being able to consistently treat too. It's like, I have this person come and see me like 2 to 3 times a week in my home. And, you know, and they're licensed and they're helping me document my injuries. So I do like that.
So where do you see the biggest gap between what somebody is physically feeling and what's being documented? What would you say is kind of the most common gap in the relatability, I guess?
The biggest gap would be they're saying, or they're telling me, hey, I'm in this pain. I can't do this. I can't do that. You know, I'm constantly in pain, but they're never like seeing someone for that pain.
I see.
So yeah, so just like, I went to go see a physical therapist or a chiropractor, and they told me to do at-home exercises, but there's no evidence that you're doing those at-home exercises. So I would say the gap is in the lack of documentation. Again,
it
seems
lack
like
of follow through, lack of documentation. Yeah.
That's been the mantra throughout the interview. But like that's very important. Just like someone who's a medical professional is able to document what you're going through. So it just gives it more credibility and objectivity as well, and it just helps your case. So yeah.
This is kind of a random one, but is it more common, do you feel, for people to have a little less follow through when it comes to more personal life factors versus work related life factors? Like if it's something that's going to affect their performance at work, do you feel like they might be more eager to get it taken care of versus if it's something their own need, they might put it on the back burner, or vice versa?
So if it's something that's going to affect them personally, as in like their ability to perform at a high level at work, something like that, or?
Well, personally, and like, I might not be able to go to this, this dinner with friends or this concert, but like, the fact that like if it doesn't affect your job, then maybe there's, if it doesn't affect your way to earn a living, then maybe there's not as much like survivability behind it almost.
Oh, okay. Or it's like a lack of urgency. It's
maybe.
Like, all right, yeah, it's like, okay.
And I don't know if that even exists. That's why I'm asking,
I think some people probably do think of it that way. It's like, all right, yeah, I'm in this accident, but hey, I'm still able to maintain a living. I'm still working. They probably have a desk job where they're not on their feet like that. So it's like, hey, I'm managing my symptoms on my own. So they kind of put the case on the back burner because it's like, hey, my way of living, my way of earning a living hasn't been affected by this case. So I can just continue on. But that doesn't mean that they're not in pain. Yeah. It's just that the priority of work has taken over like them seeking treatment. So that is a factor as well. Yeah.
Okay. And we already kind of talked about this, about the inconsistency, but so then what do you wish patients understood about their role, not just in recovery, but in how their case unfolds in terms of like what they put into it in terms of not just the consistency, but the effort, the intention to detail, the, reporting and unfortunately having to advocate for themselves too sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. So like what's important in that, I mean, obviously going to see a medical doctor, talking with their lawyer, just filling me in with everything that's going through in their lives too. Some clients you have to like chase down to to get a response from, or just to get any updates from. So just being in communication. I think communication is key. It's a very collaborative effort that we're putting forward. So it's like, I need to be able to communicate with you, and you need to communicate with me. I need to communicate with the doctors and everything. So just maintaining that communication, I would say.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah.
And it can be a challenge, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, and especially today, I feel like sometimes people can be a little wary sometimes with email communication. But again, that's why you establish your relationship with your attorney or your provider, and then that's how you communicate, right?
Yeah. And sometimes like I'll call them during work hours, so it's like I can't pick up the phone right now, or their hours doesn't permit them to like talk on the phone until much later in the day. So things like that. That's how you can miscommunicate with an attorney.
Well, and that makes sense also in how the work stress, the family life, all of that can play a big role in it too,
definitely.
and kind of deter from goals in mind.
I do have a lot of clients who'll be like, oh, I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you, but something just happened in my family. Like, my father just had a heart attack, like stuff like that. So it's like, oh, that's very important, and I understand, but it does take away from our time of communicating. But like I said, every day struggles do appear in people's lives, and they have to attend to that. So I totally understand that.
Yeah. And then, so you mentioned contacting a medical provider right away. How does somebody know when it's time to contact the attorney?
I would say right
after
away.
The medical provider. Medical provider number one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not exactly. So just contact the lawyer as soon as possible, because you want someone to help guide you through this situation. So
Okay, that's good to know. And I was laughing because I actually had a little fall last Sunday, but
Yeah.
luckily I caught myself. But I
Yeah.
almost did contact you to be like, I don't know if I need you yet,
Yeah.
but I might. Do you prefer people that are already familiar with the work that you do? Do you prefer that they do that in certain situations if they have an injury? If they're
they call
with
me
me,
before
I knew
the doctor.
I was okay.
Oh,
yeah, they
okay,
knew I was.
yeah.
I knew I was fine.
Yeah.
But if somebody did get in a car accident,
Yeah.
and they contacted their doctor, and their doctor said, "We think you're good," do you still prefer that they would contact you?
Yeah, because there's a latency to like your symptoms. It can come much later, or a couple of days afterwards. You start to feel pain, especially if they just went to the hospital. They just the hospital just wants to check that you're alive.
Yeah.
They're not worried about the
Yeah.
soft tissue
Yeah.
injuries and stuff like that. So
Yes.
still contact me, and it's free consultation too. So I don't want you to think you're paying any type of money to contact me. So contact me and we can evaluate the case and see if you have something. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then what's the hardest part about staying sharp in a role like this long term?
Long term is just, I would say, just the workload and the cases and all the medical documentation, especially if you file a lawsuit, and all that comes with that, discovery and the depositions and just the legality of it also. All of that, just balancing all that for each client, I would say, it is a lot, but hopefully you have a good team where you can delegate a lot of tasks to. So
Yes.
that's something, yeah.
Plus some of the emotional side of it.
Yeah, yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of the emotional side of it,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
oh yeah.
even if it's
yeah.
just stress.
No, for sure. Yeah, it's a lot of
Yes.
stress, but you gotta find ways to de-stress and and unplug. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, huge thank you to Chauncey for chatting with me today. If you could please let everyone know where they can find you on socials or your website, anything.
I'm Chauncey Dean. You can find me at Attorney C Dean on Instagram. You can reach out to me as well at cdean@forthepeople.com, or call me. My number is 786-761-6605. Anything you need, just in an accident, I hope guide you through that situation. So please call me.
So, I think the biggest takeaway here is this isn't just about legal outcomes. If something in today's conversation gave you clarity, perspective, or direction, take what resonates and apply what works. Knowledge is power, and now you have more of it. That's all for today.